Alright, time to make some more Doctor Who videos. This time, I will be talking about this. Scream of the Shalka with Richard E. Grant as the Doctor, or as the British might say, Richard E. Grant. But before I get to that, I wanted to say a little bit about my lunch container over here. This. Uh, so it's got a zipper on it, and I guess I've had it for a few years. I think so. And the zipper, for a while, it was getting tough to move the zipper, and then the zipper just yeah yeah the head, the handle part of the zipper, it broke off, so I couldn't use the zipper anymore. And I was thinking, oh man, I got to get a new lunch container now, because I could hold it by the edge and just not hold it by the handle when I carried it. That was one thing I could do, but I thought, well, okay, well, what do I have? I don't have any twine to tie it up. Rather than just throwing it away and getting a new one, I wanted to make it last longer. So I was trying to find something I could wrap up the lunch container in, and I decided, well, okay, the only thing I can use that I have is a shoestring. So that's what I did. I used a long shoestring, and I wrapped it around there, and but so my food in there, um, which I've been for taking for work, was long time I was using. Felt like a long time. Uh, I was mashing up bananas into, so I had a container of mashed bananas in my lunch container, and the shoestring was like it wasn't strong enough. Apparently, the mashed bananas were a little too heavy for the shoestring, so it was kind of uh, it was stretching the lunch container. It was uh, it was going like that, but it works. It works rather than just. I thought it was nice that instead of just throwing it away and getting a new one, I was able to extend the life of my lunch container. Just because the zipper broke, I used a shoestring. But then I was thinking, it'd be really bad if the shoestring, because it didn't appear to be very strong for the apparently heavy mashed bananas, uh, container of mashed bananas. I was thinking, oh man, it'd be really bad if the shoestring broke and my mashed banana container fell out and onto the floor. That'd be bad. So then I was thinking, well, hey, what about a belt? Because I was remembering um, a long time ago, like Little House on the Prairie time, uh, probably maybe even like the 50s, the 1950s. So maybe even in the 1900s. so 1800s and 1900s, people would use a belt to wrap around. I think I've seen people use a belt to wrap around, like children, I guess, is what I was remembering. Children would tie a belt around a stack of books. So that's what I was thinking. Well, if that works, if a belt works for a stack of books, a belt would be uh, a good idea for this, rather than a shoestring. So that's what I'm going to be doing. Probably later. So far, it seems like this is doing okay, though. It's I I could still carry it by not the handle. It's just when I carry by the handle where it looks like, oh no, it's gonna break. So I just thought it was neat because I was remembering about what children did a long time ago. I don't think they do it anymore. Maybe somewhere around the world people still do that. Tie a belt around a stack of books and then go off to skip off to school. I just wanted to share that. Rather than throw something away, see if you can fix it. Make it still work. So if your zipper does that, I guess it depends on where the zipper is located. All right, that's all I wanted to say about that lunch container there. Just felt good about that. Make something last longer rather than just throwing it away right away. Drop my pen. This Scream of the Shalka, this Doctor Who. The first time I saw this, not the first time, well, yeah, the first time I watched it, but the first time I saw it was at the library I guess a few years ago, uh, in the section of the library where you can uh, borrow movies and shows. So they had this DVD in the library of Doctor Who, Scream with the Shalka, and I saw it and I did not recognize it. And I'm thinking, what is this? I've never heard this. And it says it's starring Richard E. Grant, and I didn't know, I'd never heard of Richard E. Grant being the Doctor. I was aware of all the actors who had played the Doctor, and he was not one of them. So I was thinking, what is this? This is weird. So I didn't know anything about this. But it had been out. It came out in 2003. So I just found out about it like maybe 2018. Okay. Alright. So, BBC. Doctor Who, Scream of the Shalka, starring Richard E. Grant. By Paul Cornell. Paul Cornell. I remember seeing him. I recognized him when I saw the special features for this, because I had seen him. I didn't know he had written Scream of the Shalka. I just saw him in special features where this person, this Paul Cornell, apparently he's a writer, who would talk about he would have opinions and critiques about Doctor Who. So I've seen him probably at least a couple times in other special features for other Doctor Who's, just talking about Doctor Who in general. So apparently he's a writer. He's written other Doctor Who. Maybe he's written. I don't know for sure. I think he's probably written uh, other Doctor Who stories. Maybe. I really don't know. So he's at least written Scream of the Shalka, and he's a Doctor Who fan, and he's a writer, so maybe he's written other science fiction type things. Anyway, okay, so on the back, I'll show the back. Drop my pen again. Where'd it go? Okay. Alright, so on the back it says, the TARDIS lands in a small English village in 2003, where the population is living in fear from a malevolent alien force. With the help of Unit and his new friend Allison, the Doctor discovers that a race called the Shalka are residing underground, preparing to strip away Earth's ozone layer and embark on a full-scale invasion of the planet. I thought it was kind of funny because when I was doing the notes for Scream of the Shalka, and when I was watching it too, so on the back it mentions Unit, but I don't recall while watching Scream of the Shalka, I don't remember them even saying, oh, this is Unit, here's Unit, we're Unit. So Unit, the United Nations Intelligence Task Force, was used a lot during John Pertwee's time in Doctor Who, with the characters the Brigadier and Brigadier Lethbridge Stewart, and what's that one guy? I'm drawing a blank here. I'm a little tired. The John Levine character. Oh, Sergeant Benton. And Nicholas Courtney was the Brigadier. Okay, and then Richard Franklin played. My mind's drawing a blank. I'm remembering the actors, but not the Richard Franklin's character. Yeah, because I was watching Planet of the Spiders recently with the Unit characters in it. Oh, Harry Sullivan. Played by Ian Marter. There was another Unit member. Well, there was Joe Grant, who was the companion. Those are the main ones, the main members of Unit that I can think of. Okay, so they were used in the past a lot in Doctor Who, but so in Scream of the Shalka, they say with the help of Unit, but in Scream of Shalka, I don't remember them ever mentioning Unit at all. So you can assume that the military, like they're dressed in these green uniforms. Apparently this is Unit in Scream of the Shalka, but I don't recall them ever saying that they were Unit. They just seemed like they could have been any military organization. at one point the doctor he's on the phone. Um, he's calling someone, but he doesn't say I need unit's help. He doesn't say that. And so when these military members arrive, they don't say, "All right, we're unit here." I just thought it was interesting. Especially if they're going to specifically mention unit on the description for the back of Scream of the Shalka, why don't they specifically mention unit? They don't name unit in Scream of the Shalka. Apparently, they just assume fans will just recognize them and just think, oh, that must be unit. So apparently the writer didn't feel the need to specifically mention unit. So I thought that was very strange. Okay, so it's Scream of the Shalka is starring. Well, there's a bunch of special features on here. DVD extras, which I'll talk about later. Okay, it's starring Richard E. Grant with Sophie. I don't know if I'm going to be pronouncing this right. Sophie Okonedo. That looks right. That sounds right from what it looks like. Okonedo. Okonedo? Okonedo. Sophie Okonedo. Okay. Who plays Allison? It's funny, it says in the description, his new friend, the doctor's new friend, Allison. Usually they call that person a companion. Is she a friend or a companion? Written by Paul Cornell, directed by Wilson. This is a weird last name. Well, the whole name is weird. Wilson sounds like a last name. His first name is Wilson. Okay. The director was Wilson Millam. And I think he was American, which is a little unusual because it's BBC. Why did we have an American director for a BBC production? That was strange. All right, executive producers Martin Trickey, James Goss, and Mario Dubois. Incidental music by Russell Stone. Originally transmitted November 13th to December 18th, 2003. All right.